Welcome back to the deep dive. We're the place where, well, we don't just scratch the surface, do we? We really dig into the material you send us to find those really valuable insights. And look, if you're anything like me, or frankly, pretty much anyone living today, stress. It's not just some abstract idea, is it? It often feels like a constant companion. Maybe not a welcome one. We feel it, we definitely talk about it all the time, and it seems like we're always looking for ways to manage it, to get it under control. So today we're doing a deep dive into something I think is incredibly relevant for almost everyone, really understanding stress, what's actually causing it, and this whole kind of complicated search for work-life balance. Our plan for this diet is to really break down the source material you've shared. First, we'll look at how we even talk about stress, the words we use. Then we'll try to pinpoint the most common things that trigger that feeling of being, swamped. And finally, we'll explore the fascinating, sometimes contradictory reality of trying to find that quality of life through things like remote work. We want to pull out the key knowledge to help us all see this stuff a bit more clearly.
That's absolutely right. The aim isn't just to describe stress, list definitions. It's to really unpack what these things mean in our actual everyday lives.
Yeah.
We want to get past the usual buzzwords, pull out those crucial insights, and hopefully offer a clearer, maybe more nuanced view of these really fundamental parts of work and life today. Those little aha moments.
Yeah, exactly. Those moments that maybe make you rethink your own situation. Before we even jump into causes or solutions, it's maybe worth just pausing on the word itself. Stress. We use it so casually, don't we? Oh, I'm so stressed, or this project is really stressing me out. But what are we actually saying? What does it mean to be under stress or stressed out in a way that genuinely affects us?
That's a really good point,
Yeah.
because the language reflects this whole spectrum, doesn't it? From mild annoyance right through to crisis. So when people say they're stressed or stressed out, yeah, often it's about feeling overwhelmed, under pressure, mentally or emotionally stretched. The phrase de-stress, which you hear everywhere, that's clearly about actively trying to reduce that feeling, right, to find some relief. But as you said, the terms in our sources point to much more serious stuff, too. We hear about stress-related illness. That implies a real, tangible health consequence, physical or mental. Then there's burnout, and that's not just being tired, it's like a deep exhaustion, physical, emotional, mental, usually from long-term stress. You just feel
Yeah.
empty,
Ew.
depleted.
Like you got nothing left to give.
Exactly. And then at the extreme end, you have talk of a complete breakdown.
Right.
That signifies a real crisis point where someone just can't function anymore, can't work, because the stress has taken such a heavy toll. It's a progression.
Wow, that is quite a progression. It does make you wonder if maybe our casual use of stress sometimes stops us from seeing the early warning signs until things get, well, pretty serious. But our sources also pointed out how stress links up with other words, giving us this more specific, almost clinical vocabulary, like building blocks.
Absolutely. And that nuance often gets lost, which is why these specific terms are so useful. Like a stress factor.
Yeah.
That's not just some vague problem. It's a specific thing, an event, a situation that triggers the stress. Could be a deadline, could be a difficult relationship at work.
Something concrete you can point to.
Right. Then you look for stress symptoms. These are the signs, the signals that someone's under pressure. And they can be really varied, can't they? Irritability, sleep problems, headaches, changes in appetite, our bodies and minds sending up flares.
The red flags, basically, helping distinguish a bad day from something more ongoing.
Precisely. And if those symptoms persist, the stress toll is the cumulative damage. The total negative impact stress has had on someone's health, their relationships, their overall life. It's the price you pay.
That sounds quite heavy, the toll.
It can be. And finally, there's stress management, which is interesting because it works on two levels. It's the personal stuff people do, exercise, mindfulness, taking breaks. But it's also, as the sources note, a big industry term. It covers counseling, research, corporate workshops, apps, the whole industry built around helping people cope, which really tells you how big an issue this is.
That's a key distinction, yeah. Personal coping versus a whole industry. And the sources also mentioned something interesting about grammar, that both stress and pressure can be countable or uncountable.
Yes, exactly. So you can talk about stress in general as this uncountable feeling, but you can also talk about the stresses and pressures you're under, plural.
Which kind of makes it feel like, okay, maybe it's not just one giant overwhelming thing, but lots of smaller specific things hitting you. Maybe you can tackle them individually.
That's often how people experience it, yeah. Multiple distinct sources adding up.
Okay, so if we've kind of unpacked the language, the natural next question is, well, what causes it? What are the common culprits our sources identified? Because knowing the cause is surely the first step to fixing it, right?
Absolutely. And the research points pretty consistently to about 6 main areas. These are things that, unfortunately, probably sound familiar to a lot of people listening. First up, heavy workloads. And this isn't just about having lots to do. It's often that feeling of never catching up, the sheer volume combined with the limited time.
Yeah.
That constant pressure.
Right, the feeling of the hamster wheel just spinning faster and faster. It's exhausting.
It really is. Okay, second, office politics.
Mm.
This isn't just minor disagreements. It's when colleagues are focused on, advancing themselves, sometimes manipulatively playing politics. It can create a really negative, distrustful environment.
Yeah, where you spend more energy watching your back than actually doing your job. That sounds stressful.
Definitely. Third is role ambiguity. Basically, when your job responsibilities aren't clear, you don't know exactly what you're supposed to be doing or what success looks like. That uncertainty is a big source of anxiety for people.
I can see that. You'd constantly be worried you're either dropping a ball or stepping on someone else's toes.
Exactly. Fourth on the list, lack of management support. This is when your boss or manager just doesn't provide the help, the resources, or even just the guidance you need, feeling like you're out there on your own.
Yeah, feeling unsupported, that would be incredibly demotivating.
Hugely. Fifth, and this one is really significant, effort-reward imbalance. This isn't just about pay, though that's part of it. It's feeling like you pour heart and soul into your work, you go the extra mile, and you get nothing back. No recognition, no appreciation. Maybe someone else even takes the credit.
Oh, that would be infuriating. It's about feeling valued, feeling like there's some fairness.
Precisely. It really erodes motivation and can lead straight to cynicism and burnout. And finally, number 6, very relevant today, homework imbalance.
Ah, yes, the classic.
It's that blurring of lines, isn't it? When work just seeps into every part of your life, making it impossible to properly switch off, spend time with family, pursue hobbies, just have a life outside of work, the always-on culture.
That list, wow, it really covers a lot of ground. And you can see how combinations of those would just pile up. It makes total sense why people are actively pushing back, trying to recalibrate, which leads us to that shift our sources talked about away from the workaholic ideal towards prioritizing quality of life. It feels like a real cultural current.
It really does feel like a significant shift. This pursuit of quality of life seems like a very direct reaction to those stressors we just listed. People are consciously trying to reduce things like long commutes and actively carve out more time for family, for themselves. And journalists have picked up on this using terms like downshifting or rebalancing to describe what people are doing. It's about intentionally changing priorities.
Taking back some control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it shows up in practical ways. You see people choosing part-time work, maybe accepting less money for more time, or obviously hugely relevant now, working from home to ditch the commute and gain flexibility. Some even make bigger changes, like moving out of the city to the country, looking for a different pace of life altogether. The common factor is this deliberate choice, redefining success beyond just the job title. It's about overall well-being.
And that drive for quality of life, for rebalancing, it's really driving changes in how we work. Which brings us to that recent survey on remote work your sources highlighted. It seems to capture this search for balance perfectly, but also maybe reveal some new issues.
Yes, the survey data is really interesting here. On the one hand, it shows huge positives, especially related to that homework balance issue. Like 95%, that's almost every one of remote workers said their work-life balance was better than when they were in the office.
95%.
Yep.
That's massive.
It is. And the reason? Mostly more time with family, less time commuting, more time for leisure. That's a huge win against that constant pressure. And another big one, 82% reported more autonomy and independence. Feeling like they're in control of their own schedule, how they organize their day. That addresses that lack of control stressor we talked about.
Okay, so the upsides are clearly very strong. Better balance, more control. It sounds almost ideal. But as you hinted, it wasn't all positive, was it? The same survey, despite those amazing numbers, also surfaced some pretty significant complaints. It's not quite the perfect solution, perhaps.
Precisely. And this is where it gets really nuanced, I think, because it shows how solving one set of problems can sometimes create or reveal others. So despite the better balance, a huge chunk, 73%, complain that there's no clear boundary between their work and their personal life anymore. The lines just get blurred when your office is also your living room.
Ah, the flip side of flexibility. Hard to switch off.
Exactly. It can lead to that feeling of always being on, ironically, creating a different kind of homework imbalance. The very thing people were trying to escape just in a new form.
That's fascinating. So you trade the stress of the commute for the stress of never leaving work.
It can feel like that for some. And another major downside reported by 57% was feeling lonely and isolated. Missing the social connection, the casual chats, the team camaraderie you get in an office.
Right, being out of the loop, maybe.
Yeah, feeling disconnected from colleagues and the company culture, which, addresses the office politics stressor maybe, but introduces the stress of isolation instead. So what's really striking about the survey is how it lays out both sides so clearly. The incredible benefits, balance, autonomy, but also these significant drawbacks, blurred lines, loneliness. It really challenges simple assumptions about what quality of life looks like in practice with remote work.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening in? We've kind of journeyed through the language of stress, pinpointed some really common causes, and looked at how this search for quality of life is playing out, especially with remote work. We've seen the clear upsides, but also those maybe unexpected challenges that come along with trying to rebalance things.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway connecting all the dots is that wanting quality of life, wanting less stress, wanting more balance, that's a really powerful, understandable drive. But actually achieving it, particularly through these newer ways of working, it's complex, it's nuanced. It's not just a simple fix. It often involves trade-offs, and we need to be really conscious of what those are. It's a constant balancing act, just maybe with different weights on the scales now.
Which leaves us with a final thought to maybe mull over, something that goes a bit beyond just adapting. If we're all talking about de-stressing and rebalancing, but the very solutions we reach for, like remote work, can introduce their own kinds of stress, the blurred lines, the isolation, then how do we get smarter about this? How do we consciously design our work and our lives, not just to run away from the old stressors, but to truly build that sustainable, holistic quality of life without just swapping one set of problems for another? That feels like the real challenge, doesn't it? Something to think about as you navigate your own world.